I thought it was really cool going into day two. We had a lead, but there wasn't a single person on this team that even thought that it was in the bag. I think a lot of us were too remembering of last year where we only lost by 7 short inches. So I think it was pedal to the metal. We aren't going to stop, and I think that mentality put us over the top and helped us set records in the process.
Welcome to the Kayak Bass Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Jared. This is the podcast where we focus on the growing sport of kayak fishing. So today's a really special episode for me because I get to talk to members of my home club, the Southern Illinois Kayak Club, and discuss their just huge victory they just had in a very special tournament, that being the Crossroads Kayak Bass Tournament that was held last weekend in August here in outside of Carbondale, Illinois, on Cedar Lake. So why is this such a big deal? It's just another tournament. Well, no, it's not just another tournament. What the Crossroad Classic is, it is a meeting of the best tournament anglers from multiple grassroots tournament trails. So in this particular event, we had teams from Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan that sent their very best, usually the top 5 fishermen in those tournament trails, to form a team and go head to head with the other grassroots top sticks in the nation. So here in this event, we had the Southern Illinois Kayak Club, we had the Indiana Kayak Anglers, the Michigan Kayak Trail, we had the Southern Indiana Yak Anglers, we had the Michigan Topwater Trail, and of course the KBL, the Kayak Bass League, which fishes Illinois and Wisconsin. So this is a fantastic tournament trail, and I'm just so happy to announce that our hometown boys, the Southern Illinois Kayak Club, brought home a historic win. They didn't just win this tournament, they dominated it from start to finish against some very tough competition. So stay tuned. We're going to go right to the interview with the 5 members of the winning team. Outstanding. We have got the team, the winning team, championship team, right here with us tonight. This is incredible. We managed to get everybody's schedule together. Not only did we get all the Crossroads championship team on here, we have the permanent director with us, Josh Lincoln. Josh, it's great to have you on the podcast tonight. I want to welcome Reese Snyder, team member, Kevin Cox, Jonathan Kessler, Darren Himker, and then Dalton Williams. I think all of you, maybe except Reese, have been on before, so welcome back, guys. I appreciate you taking the time to talk about things. Man, I was driving home from work tonight before we were going to record this, and I was just thinking, this is like the Super Bowl of grassroots kayak bass tournaments, right? For us guys who are not spending $300 a weekend, we're putting $50, $60, $70 in a pot, and we're looking to see who brings that home. This is kind of what we look forward to at the end of the year, right? Is definitely what are you guys thinking about as you started to launch Saturday morning after all the build up? What did it feel like?
I thought it was pretty intense.
Darren, you talk about it because you were up there up north, I think, right?
Yeah, it was a lot less people than I thought there was going to be. Got to the boat ramp, and I was expecting 25 to 30 kayaks, and got there, and there was 10, maybe. I think there was 4 when I got there. We launched with maybe 12. Everybody went south, and we weren't expecting that.
Yeah, just so if nobody's familiar with Cedar Lake or the location of this event, is like they got a north ramp and a south ramp. The north ramp is, I don't know, let's just say a little more civilized. The south ramp is kind of a smaller gravel ramp and just a smaller setup, right? More rural, harder to get to areas. So Darren, you thought you were going to find a lot of tournament anglers launching there, right?
Yep, I figured there was a better launch. It had nicer ramps, and I figured people would start there and pre-fish there and would just stick there, what I was assuming would happen, but got there, and I think me and Dalton were the only 2 from SICK there, and then there was 1 or 2 KBL guys and 1 or 2 guys from other clubs. Other than that, it was just us.
Really? So what was going on with the north ramp then? You guys had a busy parking lot, right?
South ramp was South Ramp was pretty busy. We had about 20 to I guess 25 anglers down there, and it was a busy launch. And I remember sitting there with Reese and Kevin, and we also had some colleagues that were there for photographs and just keep people safe and stuff to help out with the tournament directing and stuff like that. And we were kind of just sitting there and talking. And it was honestly kind of I don't know what to like kind of a dramatic start, and I think everybody was like sitting there, and we might have even let 5 or 6 seconds pass, and they were like, "Wait a second, it's launch time. Let's go!" And all of a sudden, like one person started going, and everybody took off. But it was, we had about 5 or 6 people just from the club down there with everybody. The 3 members that were launching from down there with the 2 others. It's a good group and joking around and having fun and excited, and then
awesome.
Everybody took off.
Fantastic.
Very quiet. It was the most quiet takeoff I've ever been a part of.
Do you think it's quiet just because was there a lot of tension? You think that people just wanted to get this started, knowing it's a 2-day tournament and most people are used to 1-day events?
I don't know. It's almost like I was waiting for somebody to shoot a gun off. Everybody's sitting there in their stance getting ready to take off at the race at the track, and all these guys started kicking and paddling, and it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
The team meeting aspect of it. So normally, right, when you're individuals, everybody's at the captain's meeting. But when we had just the captains met at the captain's meeting the night before, so normally it's like captain's meeting's over, break, everybody rushes out to their kayaks and takes off. And we were all out there kind of waiting and waiting for the deadline to hit. Sunday was a Josh came down on as the director on Sunday, and we had about maybe just a couple fewer boats on the water on the South Ramp on Sunday, but Josh played the national anthem to get us started, and
nice.
That was a really wonderful experience. And I think Josh got a really wonderful photograph that's made some Facebook posts about the launch and everybody leaving. That was a very memorable moment.
Oh, awesome. So is that the ramp that was closest to Carbondale then? That when you say South Ramp, is that
I call it the Pomona ramp.
Okay.
Down by Pomona and Pilot's Knob.
Yeah, that's the more rural one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So Josh, as you as tournament director, I mean, is it a relief when the thing finally kicks off and people are in the water fishing after all this time and organizing and planning and communicating?
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize that Crossroads preparation probably started last January. So in this whole past month, I can't tell you how many nights and hours have gone into preparing for this tournament. But I think really for me, when the relaxation kicked in was when I had the truck loaded up and I was actually driving to the lake. Because at that point, I did everything that I could do. I prepared as much as I could, and it was like, it is what it is at this point. So, yeah, it was nice when people were fishing, and it was real nice when we wrapped everything up and went to dinner afterwards. I'm sleeping easy at night, that's for sure.
So let's set the stage here, right? So we end up having 6 5-man teams, right?
Yeah.
6 5-man teams, and we're spread throughout Michigan. The Topwater Nation out of Michigan Kayak Trail, Southern Indiana Yak Anglers Club, Indiana Kayak Anglers, and the Kayak Bass League, Illinois Wisconsin Club, and then of course that's the Southern Illinois Kayak Club. So literally we had usually the top 5 from each one of those clubs. From 3 Midwestern states. That's a pretty big deal in the grassroots world, I think. This is not, we're not running a Hobie event, you're not running a Bass event or some large event, but this is cool because we've got all these top sticks from grassroots tournaments getting together. I don't know if that happens very much. So run us through day one. You guys are launched on day one, and you guys kind of set the tone real quick. How'd that happen?
Started out putting a 19 on the board right away, so that really helped a lot. I think 15 minutes into the tournament, I put a big fish on the board, and that was a huge relief, knowing my fish were there.
Boom.
I think I got an 18 on the board pretty early, and I really think a testament to some pre-fishing, but we were doing a good job communicating, I think, throughout the week when different guys went out. And one of the things that we all started to notice is when we had left a couple weeks prior, we had sort of said we thought we had predicted that the temperature was going to drop, and it just didn't. You know, we kept track on what the temperature of the water was doing. Surface temp just stayed stayed stable for 2 weeks, which is good for fishing because it becomes predictable. But the fish were definitely, I think, deeper than what everybody would have guessed 2 or 3 weeks prior. And that little piece of information was pretty helpful to get us started right.
So now, how much pre-fishing did you guys do? I know it's different for everybody, right? Reese is shaking his head like, not much. Yeah. But that's when that communication piece comes in, right?
Yeah, sometimes I struggle when I pre-fish, and it just makes me do worse.
He didn't listen to the pre-fishing information anyway.
It is complete opposite.
I think I did twice. I went once to the north and then once to the south, and that was it.
I went like a day and a half. I went one full day, and I took a half day as well that week.
Yeah, I went the weekend before. I went both evenings on the weekend before and fished out of the south and north ramp and didn't do good either time. I didn't fish my spots, though. I knew my spots probably should hold fish, so I didn't want to mess with them too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and we interviewed several of you during sort of the pregame interview here. Not necessarily, and we talked about the fact that prior knowledge can be a blessing and a curse. It's not, a lot of people predicted that, hey, just because this was sort of your home water or the water that you're used to, it would not necessarily have been an advantage. But what did you think? The results may speak for themselves, but do you think that ended up playing into your hands?
I think it could have been a disadvantage, honestly. If you look at our tournament results from just 2.5 weeks before Crossroads, all the winning bags came from inches of water, and then the winning bags, top 2 came out from deep water in Crossroads. So, if we were to really stuck to our guns of what past tournaments have told us and not looked and found new fish, we could have been at the bottom of this list real easy.
Yeah, I'll say in the tournament several weeks before that, I fished shallow the whole day. I made a couple casts deep, but I didn't feel like I was getting a whole lot of responsiveness from my deep spots 2 weeks prior, and I was fully committed to fishing shallow. And my prediction a couple weeks. I will say that the information that I got 2 days out definitely helped me make a decision for how to strategize on tournament day that ended up helping with my 2-day bag. But I ran into KBL guys there fishing 2 days out. I ran into Kayak guys that were there fishing 2 days out. So the information that I used to make my final determination, I think everybody could have made and figured out some of that same information, but. And what I had learned the 2 weeks prior fishing, that was very, very different pattern than what I was experiencing this tournament. And that's just kind of how fishing is sometimes, You got to figure out where the fish are and follow them, especially this time of year.
Dan, I was looking at some of the stats, and by the way, some of these stats, Joshua did a fantastic job as putting those together. I presume you worked on those that you put on the public website, right? Some of the stats of the game. And I'm going to borrow some of those that came from Josh. There, the first day, boom, 20.75 inches. Seriously?
Found 3 really nice fish that first day.
Now, I couldn't find. Did that end up being the big one? You guys tied for 20.75. You had 2 of them.
Yep.
Jonathan had one that big as well, right?
Mine was a 20.5 on day 1.
Yeah.
There was a guy from a different club. I think it was Topwater. He had a 27.5 also. He caught his like 7 minutes into day 1 though. He caught it right away, and I caught mine like an hour into day 1. So it was a little off, but
awesome.
I think I would have had big bass if I didn't break one off right away. I broke one off first day. It was really big. That one hurt.
Wow.
It got me tangled up in a brush pile real deep, and I couldn't get it up.
So did you guys end up just in a purely deep pattern, or did anybody have success up shallow?
I caught most
Very.
of my fish on a frog.
On frog, you said?
Yeah, 2 of them were on shaky head on the first day, and then everything else was on frog for me. Up in the grass.
I was pretty well shallow the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was deep
Yeah.
up both days.
I
and
fished deep and then made a couple cast shallows, and that's how I caught
Yeah.
2 of my 20s day 2. But I caught most of my fish deep.
Okay. Outstanding. So you came in, Dan ended up this. Okay, here we go on the second day. the first day, I looked at the standings after the first day, and I was like, I really was hoping you guys would be winning, would be leading, and I knew the caliber of the people that were coming to fish in this tournament. And I thought, man, you're gonna have your work cut out for you. We all talked about the possible curse of the familiar waters, and then I looked at the first day standings, and I was like just blown away. So what did you guys think about when you saw those numbers the first day? Because it's not a real good signal area, right? So most everything got tabulated at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, but the one thing you always say when we go into these team tournaments is if everybody gets 5 fish both days, you win the tournament. This is how it is. So the strategy isn't to try to get 100-inch bags or 90-inch bags. It
doesn't hurt. But
it doesn't hurt, but we go, everybody gets 5 fish. It's a team sport, right? This event's a team event. So if somebody's lagging behind or if somebody's missing fish or something, this is what we're seeing. Try to get that 5th fish. So the real emphasis, particularly on Saturday, was trying to get everybody to get a limit, and we were 1 fish short of having our 25 fish limit, but that's neither here nor there. But if you're only missing 1 fish, you're still looking at that as a good day, I think. If you're only missing 1 fish, but
out of 5,
if he had big fish,
25 people.
Yeah, if you're only missing 1 fish, that's pretty good.
His other 4 fish were all really nice fish, so that really didn't hurt too bad.
Yeah, and we knew Darren had
2 big limits.
Yeah, we knew Darren had a big bag, so we knew that offset, I think, missing a fish. So I think we all felt really comfortable with what our total was going into the end of the day without knowing the exact inches and what everybody else had done. Because when you look at a bag over 90 inches and you look at just 1 fish shy of your 25 fish limit, it's that usually spells success. So we were pretty confident, I think, going into the weigh in, so to speak.
Yeah, just a quick glance here. So at the end of day 1, and you're looking at the results for day 1. Hey, how did everybody do? You guys, it wasn't like you were up by 2 inches. You were up by 31 inches. Did I figure that right? 31 inches at the end of day 1 for the team event. I mean that's not insurmountable by who's in second place, but that says something. So how did your mindset change for day 2? You talked about day 1. The goal was 5 fish for everybody. Now you go into day 2. You got a significant lead, not insurmountable, but significant. How does that change your mindset?
It didn't
I
change
still
mine.
just looking for 5 fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just looking for 5.
Not still looking. You were looking for 5 because you couldn't find 5
Oh.
the first day.
Still looking for 5 fish.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts. That's a lot of pressure. I mean, and Dalton, I know that you talked about it last time when we did the pregame. Is that no, you weren't there at the pregame, right? But you talked about the fact that and getting that 5th fish when other people are counting on you, that's an intense type of pressure you're dealing with.
We only would have, won the Crossroads last year if somebody would have caught a 12-incher, but fair enough.
Yeah.
Dalton's had to live with that shame all year. But he made.
Well, congratulations, Dalton. Reese is now taking your spot.
That was just crazy. Reese finished above him in the final standings.
Really?
He beat him, and he only had 9 fish.
Yeah.
Come on.
So, yes, scrolling through all the anglers that were there, unlike some people, I actually went past what Dalton had gotten and looked at other people. Um, there was quite a few people didn't limit out. There's a lot of fish caught. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it wasn't unusual. Every team did not have, 5 people getting limits.
16 limits in day one.
Yeah.
Josh can yell at me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 16 limits in day
14,
one.
then
16.
16.
Maybe it was 14.
Yeah, I think it was
But yeah, it
16.
was something around half the field. And that's why we say when you analyze like whether it's a boat tournament or a kayak tournament, it's like 50% of anglers at almost every tournament. Whether it's a national tournament or a local tournament, 50% of anglers get a limit. So that's why you say if everybody can get 5 fish, you have a really good shot at winning a team tournament because the probability of having 5 limits is honestly generally pretty low. So that was, kind of goes to the strategy.
So day one went great. You guys put some numbers on the board. Day two started to unfold. Day two, you guys still had some big fish. I mean, you went back and produced again. Here's my question to Josh, and I understand that you didn't do a lot of judging, did you, Josh? I think you had other people doing that for you.
No, I had Susie helping me with most of it. Just because she was more familiar with the KBL rules, and I wanted to keep everything as fair as possible.
Yeah. Have you guys ever ran into a problem where you've had the same fish caught by 2 different competitors, or even thought it was the same fish? I mean, I guess it wouldn't be.
We had a monthly tournament 2 years ago where Dustin went out. We were doing a monthly, and we went to Little Cedar, and he caught a fish, and we went out 2 weeks later to the day, same time of day, the same spot, same location, swim in a jig, catches the exact same fish. It was like a 21-inch fish, catches the same fish.
Wow.
In the same monthly tournament. And we went back and had multiple judges, I think, look at it and verify that it had some of the same identifying marks, and they DQ'd the one instance of the fish. We thought that was pretty cool.
So that's something you're looking at, Josh. How long does it take to process all those in a team event like this? I mean,
it's no easy task, especially doing a fine-tuned comb of them. But my hats off go to Susie. She did an awesome job with that. And then I verified the top teams as we kind of went through the weigh-in process. But she carried the lion's share of that for sure.
A lot of things going on behind the scenes in these events. That's for darn sure. So at the end of day two, so when you guys reached to the ramp, how confident were you that you taking over the championship here?
100%.
I'll be honest, the South team left the ramp an hour. Like we were, like it got to the point where we were like, okay, I don't think we can really upgrade anymore, and we were
mm-hmm.
to weigh in 45 minutes early. So we were.
that's damn good. It's amazing.
Here's
the crazy thing is that I'm looking at 5 anglers that competed in this event. I'm also looking at 5 of the top 10. I think when you just put that out there, you got half of the top 10 in the field. I mean, there's really no way to beat you unless somebody else has the other 5, right, with bigger numbers. And that just wasn't going to happen in this tournament with the numbers you guys put up. We had thrown out there, there may be a 100-inch bag. Really close. I mean, really close. What do we have, 96 and a half?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I ended up with 96 and a half on Sunday. And the irony there was that I think Darren was sitting on 95 and a half.
Yeah.
And that would have been that was the Crossroads record, single day Crossroads record.
Day.
Yeah, so we had broke the two members break the record on day 2.
I do think I could have broke 100 day 1 if I would have kept fishing. I basically stopped fishing at 10:45 after I caught the last 19 because I had 94 inches and I could see there was a bunch of fish on my spot still, and I was like, nope, I need to just not wear them out. So I went and pre-fished some new water and came back there once or twice, and they were still all stacked up. And got there day 2, and half my fish had disappeared. So I was not happy about that, but still made it work pretty well.
Yeah,
it was a really, really Good weekend of fishing. I got out there that first day, and after I caught that, I actually lost two, jumped two off right away at first thing in the morning. That were every bit of 18. Both of them were, and I jumped them both off, and I was like, today's gonna be a great day because I knew the fish were there and I could see them on a live scope, and I knew it was gonna be a good day. And I dropped down on that next one and caught him, and it was a 19 or 19 and a half, and from there it only got better from there.
I'll be honest, I was kind of a butthead to him. Because I was kind of sitting there, I had a real slow morning. We do some friendly competition, and I was sitting down south, and I was having a rough morning. It was a real slow warm-up for me throughout the day, and then I really got on him in the afternoon. But I kept telling everybody, I said, I only got I think I was sitting probably around 84, and it was a confident 84. Like, it was like, I'm happy with that. And But I kept saying, I said, I wanted Darren to, like, I knew he kind of left his spots alone the day before and kind of relaxed. And so I wanted him to fish really hard till the buzzer. So I kept telling him, hey, tell Darren that I got like 96 to see if he like would get competitive and try to beat me. And I kept saying, like, yeah, tell him I got 96, tell him I got 96. And then I got on him in the afternoon and finished with 96 and a half. And I was like, I don't know if that was some kind of predetermination there or what.
The whole time he was saying, I got 96. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to catch one more big one. Because one more big one, I was at 86 and a quarter, and I still had a 12-incher on the board. So I was looking for one more big fish. And I went to one of my brush piles a little south of the north ramp, and I found there was 3 big fish on it, and I threw in there, and the first one, it went by, and he went down and grabbed it right away, and it was a 20 3/4. And Dustin called Kessler right away and said he just caught another 20. That was my third 20 of the day. That one really boosted. That was a 8-inch coal. That really helped.
And for those that this may be their first podcast, me and Darren battled it out, I think, back and forth all season. So we have some good fun, and it's another reason why you should come out and check Sick out, because we have fun out in the water, and it's not all serious competition. So
as long as you don't let us down in the Crossroads and don't catch a limit, and we're pretty good at it.
Bam!
Then it's serious.
Well, you hit an important point, Jonathan, is that it's the one thing I left after the first interview we did when your team was getting ready to get into the Crossroads, is I walked away from the interview smiling a little bit when I shut that down, because I thought, regardless of what happens, these guys are going to have fun. And they're going to have fun. They're going to fish their hearts out, but they're going to have fun. And I think, man, that's so important. There's too many things in life to get wound up about. This is not one of them. But yeah, you can be serious about it. So congratulations on doing a heck of a job and having a good time. But so was anybody, this is their first time fishing this event? I know we have a lot of repeats here.
It was my first.
Kevin's first? Okay.
Yeah.
First team tournament?
For me?
If you don't count.
Yeah.
We did a small 2-person team monthly for as a fundraiser earlier this year. It's a really great event. Yeah. But first single day or double day.
Okay. So Kevin and Jonathan, this is your first experience at the two-day team tournaments. So what's different than the way you approach an ordinary Saturday tournament? Is there anything different?
Well, I fished a lot of 2-day tournaments and boat tournaments. The difference, I guess, with this is I don't have somebody in the front or the back of the boat, to worry about. I kind of went into this with a game plan that Jonathan and I weren't 400 or 500 yards apart, and I had decided I was going to one area and I was going to make or break there, and it worked out. I kind of, like he said a while ago, I didn't think that I was going to catch a 95-inch bag, but I knew I could go catch right around 80 inches both days, and it's, I guess, just not wearing your fish out was the only thing for me. Once I got what I needed, I kind of pulled off of it. When That way I'd have enough. And actually, fortunately, my fish grew a little bit the second day. So, and what was funny is when we took off, when we hit the mouth of the main lake out there, everybody turned and went north, except for the two of us.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we just went right on, and
Yeah.
he dropped off, and I went past him, and I don't think I saw another competitor come back there the first day. The second day there was quite a few came back there, but
Strange, huh?
yeah,
So that happens.
yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, it was good. The 2 day deal, just not gutting your fish on the first day, like Darren said. And now Jonathan, I think that I don't know that he could have gutted the spot he was on. I think that he just was catching and catching and catching. So
yeah. So and this is that discipline aspect. You got to know when to pull off, right?
Yeah, and the group I know was debating this earlier today in our group chat about how to deal with deep spots and stuff. But all year I prescribe to if fish are coming somewhere, like there is some dependence. Like if it's like one little brush pile, you can fish it out pretty quick. But if you get some of these big broad points where you got a lot of structure on it, you could sit there and in these hotter months, those points will just reload, reload, and reload. And I've taken advantage of that, I think, a lot this year. Saves me a lot of energy. And when getting back to your original question about how to prepare for this, I think one of my biggest things that I took very serious all week is sleep. And that being said, I think there was only about 3 or 4 kayaks out there that were unpowered or feet powered. I made a joke right before we launched on day 2. The guys were talking about how fast they could get their motors and their boats to get up to on different kayaks, and I said, mine runs on ibuprofen and coffee. So, part of that process and getting prepared for me was I did pre-fish the Wednesday and the Thursday before, and I intentionally took Friday off for 2 reasons: to let fish rest and to let me rest. And the whole week, I started on Monday just adjusting my sleep schedule because my intent on days like this is to go to sleep at like 7 o'clock, because you have to wake up at 3 o'clock to get there, get prepared, and get your boat on the water around everybody. And so, getting your sleep. And I'll be honest, Friday night I struggled to really get to sleep well and get a lot of sleep. And Saturday was absolutely it felt like one of the longest days on the water that I can remember in a long time. And I moved around a lot on Saturday for the most part. Saturday night, I made a commitment to get home early. Was in bed by 7. Got a great night's sleep, and it made Sunday so much easier. And if you don't get good sleep, it affects your decision making when you're in a tournament like that. And Saturday, I got impatient with my total, and I started moving around a lot, going to different places and trying shallow and kind of questioning what I was doing. And Sunday, on a good night's sleep, I had a rough morning. It was a much slower morning, but I just said, I just need to have patience. I know that the fish are here. They were here yesterday to reload, and having the rest allowed me to make I think, kind of retain the patience to just stick it out and go, hey, if I stay here, the fish are going to come. And it wasn't really until about 12 or 12:30 before I really started to get on them. And then I had a really good hour, and I could just imagine, if I hadn't caught one fish at the end of the day on Saturday, and I got impatient on Sunday and I left and wasn't there from that window, it could have been a very, very different tournament for me. So sleep is a big part of it.
Darren, why don't you tell them about our lack of sleep after day 1, where your phone fell into the lake and we were trying to defog your camera and get it ready for day 2.
It was about, I don't know, we were sitting around talking, just me and Josh at the Airbnb. We were sitting around talking till about, it was every bit of 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I actually went on Snapchat to send my girlfriend a Snapchat. I was just tell her I was going to bed. And look at my camera, and it was just straight white. I couldn't see anything out of my rear facing camera, which you need for these tournaments. And I took a picture, and I was like, oh no. So I turned my phone around and looked, and my camera had, previously in the day, whenever we got out of the water around 3 o'clock, I leaned forward to pick up my kayak and pull it up the boat ramp, and my phone fell out of my life jacket pocket into the water and slid down the boat ramp. Didn't think much of it, shook it off, threw it right back in the pocket, and went throughout my day. Got back to the thing, took the picture, saw it was foggy. I was like, oh no. And it's 10:30, probably closer to 11 o'clock. So we went through the whole entire Airbnb and found some, what was it, uncooked wild rice or something like that up
Yeah,
in
I think
the
it was
top
brown
cabinet.
rice. Yeah.
Put it in that, and that didn't seem to do a whole lot. And I woke up early just to try and figure something out, and messaged all these guys and see if we could get a phone through them that I could use for the tournament, and couldn't really figure out a good way to do it. And then on a limb, I just look up a YouTube video on how to dry out your phone camera, and it says to use a hair dryer on low heat. So I figured, oh, we'll try that. Looking around, we can't find a hair dryer, so Josh looks in the one closet and finds a radiator heater. One of them great big radiator heaters. So we fired that thing up, and that thing got really, really hot. So I ended up holding my phone camera on there for, I bet I sat there for 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I
at least
heated up,
20
let it
minutes.
cool. It was a long time. I sat there just heating it up and letting it cool and testing it. I take pictures, send it to the group chat, see if it was good enough, and eventually I was like, well, it's time. I mean, I have to go now. I'll have a little fuzzy pictures. I might lose a quarter inch or so, but as long as you can see the numbers, it'll work fine. It worked out pretty good. All my pictures turned out pretty good. I think my first one was a little foggy, but I guess the heating of the day helped my phone dry out, and it took good pictures after that.
It was a stressful morning, that was for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and it goes that whole overcoming. There's always going to be obstacles that you don't anticipate, and if you let it get in your head, that could have a lot of people that they would just spun out.
I knew I had the fish to win. I just didn't know if I could get the pictures to win, because it's hard to win without the photographic proof. Otherwise, it's just a hell of a fish story.
Yeah, and there was clear rules that anglers could not share cameras in this tournament. So if somebody else from the team sick paddled up and took a photo for him or let him use their camera, that would have been illegal. So we had to figure out a solution right then and there.
And your camera also needs to have GPS coordinates. So like you know what I mean? Like you're very limited to a smartphone camera, and you need a data plan on that smartphone. So it did raise some questions about, like, are there things that, like, precautions that could be taken, or having an extra, backup phone for somebody or something if you were to travel a long way for a tournament, because, it's a serious concern.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I have an old smartphone, and I always take it with me. It has no data plan on it, but the GPS will work on it, and the camera works on it. So if need be, you can do just manual check-in.
Yeah.
I think I have.
Fortunately, I don't.
I think I have 5 phones at the house that the camera still works just fine, but the screen's a little wacky, so I just don't use them anymore and bought a new one. I buy a new one off Amazon. I actually buy refurbished phones because I go through phones like crazy. I've gone through 4 this year because I'm not easy on phones. I work on a dairy farm, and I drop them and kick them, and I've had cows step on them and all sorts of stuff. And I should start bringing one of them with me, because now all I have to do is take the SD card out, put the SD card in the other phone, and I'm good to go. I'll probably start doing that from now on. Just keeping one in the back seat of the truck or something behind the seat, or just to have it in case.
All right. So, is there any other equipment you talked about? Phones obviously an essential piece of equipment. Is there any other piece of equipment out there that you guys run into that was essential during this tournament?
Not during this tournament.
I ran out of trailers, but
if you've got an inflatable life vest, you really need to keep an extra cylinder with you.
Did somebody have a life vest go off or go empty?
I did it at DK right when I was pulling up to the ramp. I thought somebody shot at me, and next thing you know, here my life vest blew up on me right at the ramp at Devil's Kitchen. So I had no idea what was going on. It was a little bit of a delayed reaction. So I definitely keep a new CO2 cartridge in the boat with me now.
I was kind of worried about that at DK because we were all standing out in the rain while it was raining, and I was like, man, I hope this thing doesn't get wet from the rain and decide to pop off.
I felt like Tommy Boy on the airplane when the life thing blew up on him.
So you guys finally get back on day 2. You're realizing, hey, that we're probably going to win this thing. Josh, what did that feel like knowing your club was going to sweep this?
It was hard to describe. I ran the club. I started taking over it in 2020, and I was fortunate enough to make the Crossroads team that year. And I got to experience that as an angler, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a cool event. And right then and there, I made 2 goals for myself. I said, 1, I want to lead this club to a Crossroads victory, and 2, I want to host one of these. We kind of did it out of order, but I got to accomplish both of those. And it was an experience unlike anything else. And yeah, to hear my team being called out the champions was just the icing on the cake for sure.
Yeah, and let's face it, I don't think anybody that's on here tonight will disagree with this. This team, you had a huge amount of input here to make this win happen. It wouldn't happen without you behind the scenes, organizing the monthly events that we do during the summertime, organizing all those tournaments, all the time you put into it, so other guys can fish. We all just appreciate it greatly, and can't express enough to you how big of a deal that is. I know you have your own life, and you take a lot of time away from your family to do the tournaments.
That's one thing Josh brought to my attention when we were at the Airbnb, and he says, well, it sucks sometimes running the club because instead of going into a tournament thinking, okay, how am I going to catch fish tomorrow? He's going into the tournament thinking, I have to run this thing tomorrow and still try to catch fish. And it's huge props to him for doing that, because this club is, it's, in my opinion, the best kayak club around anywhere. The camaraderie in this group is unlike anywhere I've ever seen. It's awesome, and I think it has a lot to do with their tournament director.
I don't think there's been one tournament this year that I got to tie up rods the night before. It was always just going, that's what's tied on, and just going fishing with my time,
We spent a lot of time at the beginning of the year, and I've spent a lot of time myself doing a lot of different types of things in terms of competition. I used to play competitive baseball into my 30s, even in St. Louis, and there's a lot of coaches, a lot of managers that were involved in that, and a lot of people that organized a lot of things, and a lot of times those people were very underappreciated, and the job that those people always do, and the job that Josh does is so underappreciated, because you're right. Like, me and Dustin just sit and talk strategy all the time, and the club sits and talks strategy and talks fishing. And I remember we were going into Newton, and there was a rookie. James was up there with us. He took some wonderful photos, by the way, of the event. If you see him on Facebook, and we were talking and strategizing. And I remember we were asking if Glenn was coming and this and that, and Josh is on there going, sometimes this just sucks, because I think he was loading up his boat, and he was trying to get like all these things done. I know we were working on the bracket challenge and getting things ready and prepared to get people signed up last second for the Big Bass tournament, for the 620 event, and there was all these last minute things that he's doing. And you realize, like, all you've done this whole time is just think about how you're going to approach this tournament tomorrow. And he can't do that at all. And you kind of, I think there was a moment, especially, I remember I was eating dinner before the Newton tournament up in Newton. And it kind of hit me, like, all the work that he does, in all the fun and the competition and all that we enjoy from this, he's really sacrificing to be able for us to be able to have that. And that, I think that was the moment when we kind of created the side chat, for those of you that know, and we went out throughout the year, collected money from the club members, and got Josh a gift at for the final tournament. We presented it to him, and it all kind of sprung, I remember, from that exact moment of thinking about what he did and all the sacrifice that that we kind of get to enjoy because of his hard work. So from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure everybody else in the league, thank you very much, Josh.
No,
Thank you.
no thanks needed. I love this club for sure.
Well, I have to say too, it's not just what he does off the water, but I mean, when he's on the water, he's got a camera in his hand, and he's capturing memories for a lifetime. That we get to enjoy and show our friends. Out there taking pictures and not just any kind. I mean, these are like amazing photos that he's capturing. It's awesome, and I mean, just what a testament. I mean, and it's good leadership like this that helped us win this tournament. We talked for weeks in advance. We heard other clubs talk about, they just didn't mesh well. They didn't talk. We knew where we were at all day long. Everybody, while we were fishing, we were talking, having a good time, lifting each other up. Dalton was struggling on Sunday, and we were just trying. We were just trying to ramp him up. He did get his limit. We're thankful for that. But good things. They start at the top with leadership. And somebody told me a long time ago, and I use this motto in my business: is you're only as good as what your guys are. And when you've got somebody that invests what he does in these tournaments, you're going to have good come out of it. So props to Josh. He's
Yep.
great.
Outstanding. That big trophy is exactly where it needs to be right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll certainly get passed around like the Stanley Cup. Everybody on this team will get their time with it for sure.
That's awesome. So there was a lot of really great. Anybody that's listening to this that hasn't been to the Southern Illinois Kayak Club's Facebook page needs to go there and look at some of those pictures. They're pretty amazing. Some of them they're getting posted. Really neat angler pictures. And I have to tell you, Josh, you took a picture of me at one of their tournaments, and my wife saw it. Now it's over here on the wall in the office. I'm looking at it as we do these podcasts, so it's pretty cool. I appreciate that. So
yeah, I mean, really, the thanks on that goes to Austin. He broke out his camera. I think it was in the 2021 season, and he just started snapping off some cool photos. And I was like, oh my goodness! And it just like elevated our website for like the check presentation. I was like, this is something we have to do on a more regular basis, and now it's a standard for us. And I think that builds our club. It shows we're more professional. It just builds our audience. It helps us grow. So, yeah, thank
absolutely
for getting us started.
Absolutely. So if anybody's watching this, and this, I won't say this is the grand finale of the year, but it's the last major tournament that Six going to be officially participating in, right? There's nothing else to the rest of the year. So looking forward to next year, if someone's watching this, thinks they want to get involved, what are the important dates they need to remember to get their membership? Because it does require membership to fish in our tournaments.
Usually, memberships will go on sale usually the second week of January, so sometime around that January 14th, 12th. I usually try and do it on a Friday or a Saturday.
And how many do you intend to sell next year? Do you know exactly yet? Or
we're formulating some numbers. We're trying to figure out based on percentages of how many people show up, how many spots we can go over. Because a lot of our lakes they max out at 50 boats that we can host. So we're probably in the neighborhood of 60 to 65 memberships that we'll sell next season.
Okay.
I would like to mention to people that in addition to being able to compete in our tournaments as the membership, there's also a lot of discounts and exclusive offers that you get as a member of SICK. I think I've almost got my money back on my membership fee from Missile Baits this year with their discounts. So
awesome. All right, guys. Well, I've had you on here about an hour. Just any closing thoughts anybody wants to throw out about their overall experience and this great victory that the team brought home to Southern Illinois Kayak Club?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I thought it was really cool going into day two. We had a lead, but there wasn't a single person on this team that even thought that it was in the bag. I think a lot of us were too remembering of last year where we only lost by 7 short inches. So I think it was pedal to the metal. We aren't going to stop. And I think that mentality put us over the top and helped us set records in the process.
I want to give my hats off to Darren. He fished two of the best days of fishing I've ever seen anybody do, and it's been an incredible experience this season. Kind of going in some weird way, we've been kind of going head to head, I think, and back and forth all season, and it's both a positive experience being able to learn from him and to get to fish with him this season. And I do hope I hope I see him next year, but I also hope I see him fishing some other larger tournaments because they want to have a better chance at winning. No, but I also he really really are an incredible angler, and
Yeah.
I wish you the best in absolutely every tournament, and it's been a ride and a blast, and I just can't see what you have in store next year as well. So.
Same to you.
Awesome.
I wish you hadn't mooched my spot in the tournament, but I guess you did good at it.
Yeah, you're gonna let that slide.
In case you guys were wondering, I told Kessler I told him about 3 months before the tournament that I had a shell bed on the lake that I knew was good, and I caught 98 inches of fish off of. And he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe there was a shell bed on Cedar Lake. So I told him a couple times where it was, kind of the area, and then 2 days before the tournament, he decides to go look at it. So he goes and looks at the area and message and says, "Hey, it's not here. There's no shell bed here." I said, "Just keep looking. It's there. I know it's there." So then we get a message. He says, "Oh, I think I found it." And he catches a fish. And then he goes back there during the tournament and catches 96 inches of fish off the shell bed I told him about.
96.
Yeah.
Well, but who's counting?
Yeah.
Right.
But hey, it helped us win, so I'm all for it. Now next year during our Cedar tournament, when I see him on my shell bed, I might have to T-bone his kayak going as fast as I can.
You still, like fishermen don't catch the fish. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Amen.
That shell bed's a community hole now. I mean, it was me, Kessler, Reese, Susie, Ryan, Alan. We were all fishing that shell bed day too.
Everybody's fishing my spot.
I think I'd already got 95 inches or so at that point, and I was like, community bed, like, y'all see what I'm doing here, so join me and have fun, and see anybody else pulling up any fish.
Yeah.
I didn't see you catch 319s on day 2 or 320-inch fish on day 2 either, but that was a good time. It was the most fun tournament I've been to in a long time. Because you go to tournaments and they're 1 days, you sit there for 3 hours after the tournament talking, and it's a good time. But when it's a whole weekend, 2 days in a row of nonstop talking to basically your best friends when it comes to fishing, there's no other comparison to anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys. I'm going to let you go. Ask you to hold on the line and not sign off just yet. But thanks for coming and being guests on. I want to call it the last regular season podcast. We're going to continue on during the off season with different topics. So we won't have any tournaments to cover, but we're going to be reaching out to some of our members and do some different member interviews, some technique specific interviews, and we're going to make sure that everybody's ready to rock and roll come January. Get those memberships bought for next year's season. So congratulations, each of you, for having a fantastic season on the tournament trail. And Joshua, thanks for providing it. That was a great interview with a fantastic group of anglers. And I want just to remind everyone before we end this podcast today is to go ahead and support your local clubs. Look into the clubs that were mentioned in this podcast. We have the Southern Illinois Kayak Club, the Indiana Kayak Anglers, the Michigan Kayak Trail, the Southern Indiana Yak Anglers, the Michigan Topwater, and the Kayak Bass League in Illinois. So take a look at those local clubs. Don't hesitate to reach out to the membership there or reach out to the leadership and show up to an event next year. Don't be hesitant to do that. Most of these clubs are just made up of some wonderful people who are very welcoming. So reach out today. All right, so enjoy your fall fishing. Be careful. Watch those cold water temperatures out there. Always wear your personal flotation device, and have a great day.